All right. So we're live with the Planet Paintball podcast, and I got Team War with me. I'm going to have you guys go around and introduce yourself real quick and just tell us how you got started in paintball, starting with Alex.
All right. I'm Alex Lennon. Me, my two brothers here, we run War. How we kind of got started way back and then took a long break. Christopher continued going. Then one day we all decided we wanted to play again. We're like, hey, let's get back into it. And then it kind of just transpired to the team that we have now. And I'll let them explain more in depth of it because, I mean, they're better at explaining it. So,
Anthony?
I'm Anthony Lennon, also from War. But we started back when Alex was, I think, 12. I was 9. Christopher was around 7 at the time. So when he finally got to where he was like 8 years old and he could play, he was able to play. And then, like Alex said, I played from the time that I was 9 till I was 17. Last time that I'd played before I quit was World Cup 2017. And then started back playing in 2022, joined a team that's at a local field up here. I didn't really like the way that the numbers were looking on it, so then I decided to make my own team. And me, Alex, Christopher, we were all on a phone call. We were like, Christopher said, just start your own team. And I was like, all right, well, we'll do that. And I called a couple of my buddies, and we started up a team with fresh guys, and now we're still playing. So we're 2 years in now.
Nice. And Christopher? Or Chris? What?
Good. Christopher Lennon. I started playing with my brothers around the same time. Mainly got into it because they were into it, go figure. And just been playing pretty much consistently since 2016. Like we all played from 2012 till about 2014, I think. And then we had my dad's shop burned down, and then we had to get out of it for a couple of years. And then we all went back into it, played together for like 2 seasons. And then I just kept playing from the 2016 season on. And now I play with the Los Angeles Ironmen in the pro division. So I'm fortunate to have opportunity to coach my brothers now and be a co-owner in a great organization. And now it's just been kind of surreal where our team, not only have you seen where my brothers gotten back into it and their passion reignited, but you see new players that are coming into this organization, learning things, becoming passionate about it just as much as we are, and then helping them win events. So we've won 2 events, and we've only been together 2 seasons. We won World Cup and D55 men last year, or technically 2023, excuse me. And then the first event, the CPXL, that same year. And then this past year has been a learning curve, but we're getting ready to move into the D3 X-Ball season, playing at the NRPL in Severn, Maryland.
So you guys are North Carolina, right?
I'm currently
South.
living in Virginia Beach, Virginia, but yeah.
So
we're all from North Carolina.
We're about an hour from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and we're in between like Fayetteville and Myrtle Beach. Like they're an hour both ways. So we're on like the southern side of North Carolina.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I'm DC born, but Asheville and Greenville, South Carolina raised. So
Okay.
You know BJ Mandy's? That's one of our players that plays on the team. He's from Asheville originally.
No, I didn't play paintball up there. So I started playing paintball down here in Greenville.
So, okay. So you played at PBC?
Yeah, they sponsored the last team I was on.
I haven't been to PBC in forever. I remember PBC Greensboro is like the one you got like turf field, and if you run out to like the corner on the left side, you might run into a pole.
Yeah, I think so. I think they fixed it.
Oh, that's awesome.
I think they fixed that.
Thank goodness.
It's a good field.
Greensboro has turf, and then Greenville has turf, which is really nice. A lot of people sleep on Greenville, but I've been pretty happy with it. And I ran a small paintball field. I was a manager for a while here in Greenville. But how long did you run that for? It was about 3 or 4 years total, but there was some separation in between. So the podcast is named for that field. The original owner passed away. But I had been kind of running it with went off to college, and then when he passed away, came back and got involved with I wasn't part of the ownership group, but I kind of stepped in as the manager, if you will, at one point.
That is
Yeah,
awesome.
it was a good time, but a lot less stressful not running one now and just playing.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
there's like common misconception. It's like, oh, if I work at a field or if I work before the field or whatever, like I get to play way more. It's not the case at all.
No, because you end up being the one when something goes wrong, even on practice day, fixing it.
But yeah,
So war started 2 years ago. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Um, and we kind of already went through it. You were Anthony. You were on another team. It wasn't
Yeah.
kind of adding up for you, so
Yeah.
you just bit the bullet and
And
started.
go
your
into
own.
detail about it. You just
Yeah.
hit him with it, what you were doing.
Okay, so I joined a local team in Myrtle Beach, and they had I went and ordered a jersey. They were doing dues and stuff like that. We had a bad experience with dues with the team before I'd quit. It was actually one of the reasons why I quit myself. And I went back up there. They talked about doing dues. It wasn't that bad, the pricing and all that. And then they started going into what the dues were going to be paying for with events, stuff like that. They were talking about it wasn't going to be paying for cup, stuff like that. And I don't remember the exact numbers, but there was a large sum of money that was going to be left over at the end of the year, and it didn't roll into next year. And I didn't want to be a part of that. So I wanted to create a team that was we wanted to have the most fun and win with the least amount of money, the best bang for your buck. And I feel like we've done pretty good with it. I like doing numbers. I like working with money and making sure that people are saving money, and just bringing in new people, bringing in, not really, I wouldn't even say young talent. It's just new talent that you're able to work with them and see the passion grow inside of them. And it's just, it's awesome. It's awesome. And having them be able to progress, them see their own progression and just enjoy it so much. And we've had a few that we brought in halfway through the season in 2023, like one of our guys, Nolan, we brought him in and he had never played an event ever. Never played, like he played paintball one time. We brought him out to,
hoppers.
no, we brought him out to Fayetteville, and Christopher did some drills with him and showed him how to stand behind his gun and stuff like that. And that was all the paintball he played, maybe some one-on-ones. And then the first time that he played, we took him down to Hoppers in Georgia and we practiced smoke D3 as a scrimmage. And dude, he was like, so what do I do? I'm like, you run to that bunker and stay alive. Do what you've got to do. And dude, he killed it. He killed it for his
Nolan's
first
a dog.
time. And it's just, it's awesome being able to see the growth that you can, as long as somebody's getting good information, you give them good information and they're actually able to intake that information. And with him, he's like a sponge, dude. He just intakes everything that goes his way. So, that's all good and bad. So if you have somebody that's that way, if you give them bad information, it's going to be terrible for them, in my opinion. So I'm glad that we got a hold of him before somebody else could.
Absolutely.
Yeah, with Nolan and all the players, like I'd say the biggest thing for us when we were starting anew was we've already had that it's come and gone. Like you have players that come in, they get out of it, and it's super tough to keep people happy and passionate about it. So the number one thing that Anthony, Alex, and I have always strived for the organization is fair. I am the coach. I make the calls, and all I do is manage the game and put the personnel together. They practice before in the layouts, situate who the starting five is by earning the spot at practice. Makes it easier on everybody. And then at the event, I just put X and O's down. But it doesn't matter if my brothers are on the field or not to me. We do whatever it takes just to win. So there was an event not too long ago. Alex and Anthony didn't play at all, hardly. And it's simply because other people are playing better and we're able to step up. And that's kind of, I'd say, like you could say the mission statement. Just what Anthony described is exactly how we want war to be. We want it to be fun, we want to be organized, and we want to win and nothing else. And especially fair, probably.
I think we've had like a lot of success with that just because like we've played with teams, because all of us have played for a long time now, and like taking that break, you have a lot of time to think on it. It's like we never really left the sport, we just didn't play. He continued to play, so we were always around. So you see like the teams that we played for teams that were like really good at like the camaraderie was great. It was like a family, and then, but maybe they didn't put in the work, or maybe this team was all about work and then they went their separate ways and it just didn't feel, you didn't have that like brotherly trust on the field, or maybe the money didn't line up with this one, or this didn't work out, or bad attitude, bad teammate, whatever. And now, like, especially since most of our guys that we brought on to begin with were fairly new to the sport, you don't have to deal with people with like bad habits or the ego or anything. It's like they're fully bought in. And because we have a player now, his name is Alex Caldwell. He originally started as the assistant coach under Chris, and he's a really good player as well. So having him and Chris being able to give them the correct information, now we don't have to deal with all the other, crap that comes along with having players that have the ego and have played on other teams with some success or what they feel like is success. And then on top of that, the problems that we have now, like if we do have a problem, it's like minuscule, super small stuff that is super easy to fix, where you listen to like other teams that have those problems or have a problem, it seems to be blown out of proportion and everything we fix within. So I feel like our group and who we have as people reflect on how we play, like, as well, because we're all friends outside. Like, we'll go to eat together, hang out, they'll pull up to the house, we'll grill, do some drills. Like, we have a good time. I think that's the main point. If you can have fun and learn and win, like, there's nothing that'll pull you apart.
If you're having fun and winning and learning, there's no reason to go anywhere else.
Anthony does a killer job with managing the money. So like all of us have 3 different schools of thought. Like we all think different. We all completely act different. So having us 3, behind the scenes saying, hey, look, this is what I think. What do you think? It's like a big kind of debate. And then we come up with a decision. So I feel like because we all think differently, we end up coming up with like the best decision for the team. And then, Anthony managing the schedule and the money, he can tell you exactly like, hey, you guys, this is what it's owed. This is where it's going. And like, if it's more, then we'll let you know. And it's like available at any given moment. Like, hey man, how much of that is going to this, or how much is whatever. And Anthony off the hip is able to pick up his phone and say, hey, this is what this is for. If it's more, then we'll have to pay more. But if not, then this is the number. So they don't even have to question like, hey, where's the money going? Or where is this? Like, having no doubt, it's settling.
So do you guys do dues?
No.
No.
Okay.
No. Yeah,
No,
I'm
we
sorry.
gotta
never do that.
No,
My
we
bad.
go to we show up to practice. You pay for the practice. Everybody pays their little bit. If we're doing a scrimmage, most of the time everybody buys the same amount of paint and we all pool it.
Mm-hmm.
And then with events, we pay the stuff right whenever it comes up. And then we pre-order paint. And if we need extra, it's like, so if one person wants to go and pay for it, and then we all just chip in afterwards, it's one or the other. And most of the time there's one person on the team that offers up, hey, I'll put my card on. I want to get like, one of our players, he's big on his, what do they call it? Was it cashback? And he's like, yeah, he's like, I want my cash back. He's like, I'll do it. And then y'all could just like throw it back at me. I was like, all right. So we'll do that.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I maybe could have explained that a little better. We got burnt on dues before years ago. And if you don't have the money ready to play the tournament, like as a team, if we can't all get it together, we just don't play it. Like our first year, I think we only played like, was it 4? We played 4, including cup. So we were kind of, it's, knowledge and everything, per the dollar that you spend. So if we don't feel like we're ready for this event, why go throw, events are expensive, dude. So you're talking about like, I'm going to go here knowing that we're not fully prepared and fully ready, when for $500, $600, $700 cheaper, depending on where you're going, you could just throw a 2-day practice in, or a practice day, and work on like everything. Or even if you just go, maybe we got something going on with the team, like personnel, like, or personal stuff, it's like, hey man, step aside. You're good. You don't have to do nothing. It's no big deal. And come back next week ready to roll.
I would say something I'd like to add and piggyback on both of what they were saying is longevity is the issue in Carolina ball, right? So you'll have it to where you have a team, they come up, they're playing regionals, CPXL, they do great, they're winning all the events, they get hot, they feel like, hey, we're going to go nationals, they go full national. And I feel like most teams don't budget well enough for how expensive the national is going to be. Because either way, you're never going to get around playing national X ball for anything less than 8 to 10,000. And you have maybe a roster of 6, 7. Hopefully, you can have 10, which is the most optimal. And having people having to fork out anywhere from $800 to $1,000 a weekend just on maybe paintball and maybe more, depending on what goes on, is tough. So the goal and mindset that WAR has placed is realistic, achievable goals with the most focus on financial stability. Like, I think Alex, Anthony, and I probably talk more about scheduling with cost than anything else because it's important to us and it's important to, I think, the players, from what we've understood and heard from them, to be able to have the regular life, but also pursue their passion and it not conflict. Alex will says something all the time. He's like, we do this to get away from all the BS of day-to-day life. We don't need to bring that to the environment that we're trying to have fun in. And so if we can schedule things, it's communication is everything. Say, hey guys, listen, this is what we're planning to do. This is the cost. If you have any issues, tell us so we know. If you can't make it because you got your wife's birthday or something like that you can't get out of, let us know ahead of time and there's no issue. It's just one of those things. You got to be realistic and keep going. Always keep going no matter what and improving and making sure that people are not getting put in a position where they can't afford to play. And then not to think that we don't care.
At the same time, like we have our, like, we hold each other accountable really. I think we do really well on that. So say somebody calls and says, hey, like I can't make this practice and so and so and so and so. It's like, okay, well, hey, that's all right. Like this is a layout practice, or we've been playing blind, but for cup, like say somebody couldn't make it one of those days. It's like, you better, like, it's one of those things like, okay, you can't make it, but understand that these guys that made it, they're working hard and they deserve that play, that start. So you won't start, but if you go out there and you play, stellar, then you can earn that spot to continue to play. We play whoever's hot and whoever's playing the best. I will sit, Anthony will sit, like, we don't care. It's like, hey, poor Nolan, dude. Nolan at Cup. He didn't have a ton of, what did he play? One spin? Got a ring?
2020.
Got a ring? Got a ring? Like, sometimes this is like a big thing is that we've always kind of had that mindset of like, look, whether you play, if your job is to go out there and hold the wire for, the entirety of the match, and that's your whole goal. Okay, you did your job. Okay, but if your job was to not be on the field and be in the pit saying, hey, look, I'm not on the field right now. I didn't, I might not be playing up to par. Like, to what the next guy is, okay, what do you need? Can I help you with paint? Hey, you need water? Yo, let me wipe you down right quick. Like, those things, that's a job in itself, because we all know if the pits are, chaotic and we're not know what's going on, or somebody's got a bad attitude, you carry that onto the field and the team feels it. So it's like everybody doing their job. So you go to win the event, all you did was sit in the pits and help people out. You did your job. You earned that ring just like everybody else.
I couldn't agree with you more. And I think it's awesome that you guys have fostered that kind of mentality in the team, because that can be hard.
Well, we've just been on the end of seeing the bad things. Like, I'm pro now, right? And when I go back to regionals and I see the difference in the professionalism and the organization, that's the biggest turn. Because you have people not only in Carolina, but everywhere, all regions, where they've been playing for a long time. The game has its nuances and very meticulous at times, but for the most part, it's not insanely complicated, right? You hit the buzzer, you score more points than another team in 15 minutes and you win, right? There's a lot of details in between there, but it's basically that. But whenever you have an issue of players not even be able to go on the box because their gun's not ready, they can't get proper paint management. They don't even know how to do any of that. They don't know how to make a schedule. They don't know how to start anything. And simply being a part of so many organizations that we all have, it's shown us that. And the beautiful thing about it is that now I'm learning from high level players and organizations through the time I'm going through. And all I do is just give some of the knowledge that I have learned at those highest levels to them. And we all collaborate and use it to our advantage, because there's no point in doing anything if you're not going to do it right.
Nice. So WAR started 2 years ago. What you guys played CPXL during that time?
Yep.
Was that D4?
It's
Did you guys start there? What?
D5 to
D5?
start with. Yeah, and the first event was D5 5-man, and then from there on out it was D5 X-Ball. And we struggled with X-Ball to begin with because of mainly clock management. We were really bad at figuring out, like, hey, like, we're down 2 and there's 5 minutes on the clock. And we're not a very fast team as it is. So we've got to figure out what we've got to do. So we couldn't get that through our heads for the entirety of the 2023 year. The 2 events that we won were 5-man events, which we did really good at. We were, it's just something about the two different game styles. We just could not, we couldn't figure out the difference between them. But I feel like we've gotten a little bit better with clock management. We just got to get better with our closing, and we've been working on it.
It's a huge thing, the clock management. And you could see the most frustrating thing I saw on all the guys' faces was they played 5-man. They were always so good at winning the first point. Amazing at it. Then we go play X-Ball. We win the first point. And then it was just tough, because it's same thing. You got players not only they're learning how to shoot their gun, they're also having to learn a whole new format that they're just like, well, we just learned how to play 5-man. Why do we got to do this? Then even after that year, they transitioned into D4, and there was a same problem. And it just takes time. Everybody has to buy in and understand what the issue is and what we got to do to fix it. Anthony brought it up. It was closing now, and we're still having it, which is one of the hardest things in paintball. And it comes down to doing more situationals. And that's where, like, our practices now are going to have a emphasis on drills, situationals, understanding, so that when Anthony's in the center and Alex is in the snake, they know, hey, who has to move? Oh, it's not me in the snake. It's not me in the center. It might be Trey on the Dorino side. So, hey, let's call the champion. Let's call the ball. He has the ball, and let's make it happen over there. And we know that because of time in and doing the practices and drills.
So a lot of situationals with practices.
I would say there's going to be a bigger emphasis on it going forward, no matter what.
So I normally save this for later, but how do you guys structure your practices?
Alex and Anthony, take it away.
So, Anthony, I'll let you go ahead and start.
So what we've been trying to do recently is getting more into we've been trying to do a little bit of one-on-one stuff like that. But the problem that we have with practices is that we don't have a field that, we are here recently. The field's been pretty swamped, or it'll either have a lot of people in there and you can't really get that much spins on the field without somebody else being on the field and they're wanting to play points, so on and so forth. But whenever we're able to go and do drills, like me and Trey go and do drills on the weekdays sometimes, like if he's going, I'll decide to go with him. But on structural practices, we try to get in as much as we can without having to get points in. But there's just people filtering in so much. It's kind of hard to have a structured practice, but we're trying to figure out how to get more structure into those practices this year. We're really wanting to get honed in on.
We've also been doing, like, all the past 2 years, wouldn't you say? Nah. Like, first year in CPXL, they did layout stuff, and then towards the end of the year, didn't they change it? I can't remember.
No, they did layouts the entire year, and
Okay.
then this year they went to blind.
So they went to blind layout this year, right? So it's hard kind of, because WAR playing on a layout practice, like for Cup, versus WAR playing for a blind layout is it's completely two different things. Like we are having struggles with, exactly what Anthony just said. It's like we don't have a home field. So being homeless, like, you go wherever you can go and fit in. So when we get invited or when we go somewhere to a layout practice, we drill into our heads off break. So it's like 10 seconds, 30 seconds, and then you run into a minute. And then it's like, you run this amount of 10 seconds. Great. Okay. Do you feel like you got your shots down? And I think a lot of people have like a misconception of like how you should treat practice. It's like, okay, we have a good practice with, we practice smoke a lot, but we played at CSP for Cup and played against the guys from Jacksonville, which were
The coup.
right? Great people, good dudes. Like they showed up ready to go 9 a.m. There was no slacking. And they were like, hey, look, did I shoot you running here? No. Okay. Was I high? Was I low? Like when you're at practice, like you work together, even though you're going to see each other later. Like you're hoping that what you prepared for and what they prepared for, like puts you both in the finals because you guys work together. Like if you go out there with the mindset of like, oh no, I'm not going to tell this guy that he shot me running to the snake, you only hurt yourself. So like the way we do it, like I said, 10 seconds, 30 seconds, a minute. And then towards the end, we'll run points or matches. We played 5 in this year at Cup 2. So it was points or whatever. But going into this coming year, it's going to be a lot more work. We had, like they were saying, we had trouble closing last year. This year, first 2 events, we didn't make it out of prelims. And then it was like a light switch. Our friend Alex Caldwell, he came onto the team, brought a sense of, stability and a lot more knowledge. So now that event he started at, we placed 4th? And then we placed like top 5 rest of the year. And every match that we lost to knock us out was like an absolutely grueling nail biter match. It wasn't like
losing in
they blew us
overtime.
out. We're going to have to step everything up. But on top of all that thing, we prepare outside as well. We, me and Anthony, some of our guys, Nolan, all of us, we all go to the gym. We're doing things to be better as players and as people.
Gotcha. That's awesome.
And
So you guys are close enough that a bunch of you can go to the gym together and stuff. And it's really nice.
It's cool. It's cool.
So anytime you can, like that outside of the paintball field time I think it's really critical for team development.
yeah, the
Absolutely.
camaraderie is everything.
Even staying in the same house, like at the events, like nobody's off the same page. Like you think about what all goes into it. Like, yeah, everybody's on time because we're all together. So that's like a big one, right? But
yeah,
I would almost say that eating together, like, shooting pool in the little house at Cup, shooting pool, even though, our pool table was kind of rough, but
I think they all are down at Cup.
sitting by the pool, talking about things like, hey, at the end of this, we're all going to go back to the house. We're all going to get a shower and we're going to go out to eat. And then when we come back, we're going to sit in this living room, watch these matches, even if it's not our own. And we're going to break this down. Hey, look, we were slack over here today. So tomorrow we need to make sure we go in hot on the D side or whatever it may be. So that being together, you're allowed to do those things.
So did you guys play World Cup in 2022 also?
We did
No.
not.
Yeah. Okay. So
Chris
how was
did
the step up from regionals to playing a national event?
So honestly, I feel like we went in to go in and play World Cup. There wasn't going from our D5 season to play D5 World Cup. I think that the guys were more prepared going into that event than they were going into
Any other events?
any of the other regional events. Like they were ready to go, dude. It was crazy.
We got a lot of practice.
100%. We went out. I think that weekend me, Alex, and a few of the guys went out on Thursday. We went and set up. No, Wednesday.
Yeah,
And we went and set up the layout at the field, and we got all that done. We went up on Friday, did some looking around on the field. What we needed to do. Get some looks, stuff like that. Friday we went in. We did all off break shots. I think all day that. We did off break. We did 10, 30 seconds, and then a minute, and then that was all we did. And after that, we did more off break stuff at the very beginning of the day on Sunday, and for the rest of it, we played just points, and it was just all learning different situations that were going on to the field, and that helped the guys just having that structure, that good structure in a practice, and them being able to learn how to understand that field that much really helped them. And I feel like it made it that much easier for them to go into that event and really take that win home.
It was also a good layout.
It's a great layout.
It was
a
a great
great
layout.
layout. That was a
What's
good
even
layout.
crazier is it was like, so my brothers and I have been chasing a win for our family, right? The Lennon name. Shout out Joey Lennon. One time,
Best
Donna
dad
Lennon,
ever.
right? Best mom
Best
ever
mom
too.
ever.
Right? They're there. They're supporting us at all times. And the whole family is there to win. It does not matter. So for them, as well as us, Alex and Anthony with WAR went out and won World Cup. And then right after that, I was playing with Wrecking Crew. We won World Cup as well. So it was insane to see what years and years and years of hard work together can do. Not only were my team prepared, right? That's my perspective. And then Anthony's team's prepared. We were able to basically like combine that effort and bring home something for our family that I don't think we'll ever forget that event until we win another one the same way. You know?
That was a good event. It was a good way to everything. I remember Wednesday, Anthony, you remember this. I looked at the field after we got done and I said, we're going to win the event. I said, this is the layout. I promise we're going to win. With the whole team's there on Saturday. I said, guys, I'm telling you, we're going to win the event. Sunday, we get done. I said, I've never been more confident. I'm telling you, this is our layout. I've seen it. I've played it. Everything. We're going to win. My favorite moment wasn't even winning. We got all the way through a prelims, made it to Sunday. We got into the finals, right? And they had iced us to death. I don't know how long. How long was
We
the
stopped playing at 10:20. We didn't play till 1:40.
It was
for the
crazy.
final.
I mean, like we're all just standing. It's hot. I mean, it's Florida, so it's 1,000,000 degrees.
Yeah.
And like I had a knee injury, so I didn't even get to play like that whole year. Basically, I played 2 events. Played cup in the first event, and so I'm scared to even come out of my knee pads. So I'm like, if I take this off, my knee is going to fall apart. And so I'm standing there like, Chris is like, yo, gear down. Everybody get cool, relax. I'm like, dude, I'm not taking this knee pad. So we get out there. We play our first point. We win the first point. Everything's great, right? We come off the field. Everybody like even keel. Not like there was no like, all excited. We go into the next one. We lost. Now we beat them. The first point, we beat them 5 alive. The second point, we lost. And it was the weirdest thing because, like a lot of times you're in the finals, everything's on the line here and you lose that point and you're like, oh my God, this is 5-man. This is basically best 2 out of 3, right? We just lost a point. We could lose this thing. Everybody's freaking out. Our team was like dead silent. Didn't say a word. Came into the pit. Everybody's like, what do you need? And no one said a word. We went onto the field. There was no talking on the box. There was no nothing. Adam, our boy Adam, God, I love Never Lackey, right? Adam Lackey. He goes, the buzzer hits and he always does our numbers, like our countdown. So he's like 9, 8, 7. That's the only thing that was said. We get out there, beat them 5 alive to win World Cup. I'm about to hit the buzzer. I look back at the guys. I'm like, yo, are y'all ready? Because like we're about to win this. Like everybody was dead quiet. I'm like, nobody's going to answer me. Okay. Like I hit the buzzer and then Anthony, he runs like fastest I've ever seen him run. Fastest I've ever seen him run. I'm like, dude, I needed this on the field. He runs to the pits. Everybody's like freaking out. And it was like that moment of like, everything could have fell apart in that very moment. And instead, everybody stepped up. And that's what won cup. Like I'm like, we prepared better. We did everything better than everyone else here. And it showed. And then Christopher, we have to run because their match is being played exactly the same time as ours. So we didn't even celebrate. Like we packed our stuff, left our stuff at the stage and just ran over to watch them.
And we were watching.
It was Anthony, take over there. You good?
That's my bad. I didn't mean to.
No, you're good. You're good.
Dude, we all get up to the stage and we're like, what are we doing? My mom actually let us know that Christopher was playing. So my buddy or one of our players, Trey, his parents are there and we're like, can you please watch our bags? We're going to go watch Christopher play. And you have to go buy your wristband to go watch it. It's on the pro field. We didn't have wristbands. So they wouldn't let us through. So we're having to stand like.
They were sold out, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
For VIP, yeah. They were sold out.
So we had to go stand at the very entrance, right there at the entrance where they had the little ramp in the VIP. And we were like standing on the ramp and hanging on the fence, like watching over the fence to see how their game was going. We show up, they're 4 up. And from the entire time that we were there, they went from 4 up to 4-4.
It was terrible.
It was terrifying.
Oh yeah.
Alex Caldwell was like, "Hey man, we need to leave." Like they didn't start losing until we got here. I said, "No, they earned it. They're gonna win." And dude, that was the most nail biters. Like we were about to lose our minds. And by the way, he's playing with a broken toe or foot.
Yeah, I broke my toe.
Yeah, like
all 3 of us were injured going into that event.
Yeah, it
Alex's
was-
knee.
Yeah,
Alex's
we
knee was
form
messed
one
up.
person if we come together.
Alex's knee was messed up. I had just torn my rotator cuff, and Christopher broke his toe like the week before.
Yeah, it
Worst
was cool
case.
to be able to a big shout out to Alex Caldwell. At the time, he was still coaching, and I got time to be able to coach their first set of prelims. I think it was on Saturday. I think because of the way the brackets worked out for me, I think we only had one match on Saturday, and so they play in the afternoon because it was 5 men, and I got to coach them. And then it's same system. Alex Caldwell would be the assistant coach, and then he just took the reins and they took off and finished out great and won the thing. But I think the thing we always have to add is there's a lot of people that support us that we've known for years. Like you had Coy Vanderveer in our pits, you had Alex Caldwell helping, my dad helping, and there was even Peyton's mom, which was one of our players at the time's mom, was in there helping us as much as we can. And I think times like this, you give praise to them, because if it wasn't for that backbone, it would be impossible to be able to do the things that we have to do, which is just focus on winning.
100%. Like no lie, our dad is the best pit man ever.
Yeah, he's the
He
pod
could do
man.
the job of like 3 or 4 people. It's crazy. He's been
Well-oiled
doing it since
machine.
we were kids. Yeah, it's like a well-oiled machine. Exactly.
He does like
He's
this,
a
like
beast.
step away.
Yeah, like you got it. Yeah. It's great. And he's like super prepared. But our dad is like, he builds engines. So like he's been around racing his entire life. And he's just, between him and our mom, like we really, like we couldn't do it. Like you hear so many stories where it's like, my parents hated paintball. Like they didn't even want me to get into it. Like, our parents were completely different. Like it's like, hey, just go do it. You're going to enjoy it. What? You got shot? Let me see it. Like, it's right here. It's amazing. It's terrible. They're like, oh my God, that's awesome. Like it was.
We
they're
talked
just
to our
so different.
parents about paintball more than anything. I literally talked to my dad about paintball all day.
That's
All
awesome.
day. No, like that's how we connect, and that's just Anthony and I have not missed a World Cup, whether we're playing or not, since 2012, ever. And the only reason that Alex and my dad didn't make it was like one event, and my mother, I think, has missed maybe a handful.
It's
We're always there. You'll find
and
us
it's
somewhere.
always because of work. Like if I can't make it, I got to work. You know what I mean? Like any other aspect, like we're there. I'm gonna be there. All of us.
It's hell or high water.
Yep.
It's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's really interesting. Your father comes from the race car background and is so good at the pit. So the school I work for has a race car program.
Hey,
Oh, that's
And-
awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. But I've noticed a lot of like what I used in the paintball pits, I apply to the kids, because the kids do the pitting for the race car team. I've used it in organizing that too.
That's
when
awesome.
I go and help out. I don't help out a lot with it. We got a lot of talented people now, so they don't need me as much.
It's dotting I's and crossing T's. Like if your pit is a well-oiled machine, your team runs like it. We have the best staff, straight up. I would put our staff against anybody else's.
my dad always talks about just being prepared. And the cool thing is it's been like that since we started playing. Even whenever Anthony, Alex, and I were all in the same team, he was always doing what he can to make sure that we're prepared. And it basically comes from that background of just being meticulous. Hey, you have to have this prep. Motor's got to be right. Timing, whatever you want to go, all in the details about that. And it matters.
If you're well prepared, you're hot off the trailer.
There you go.
That's right.
That's
Hot off the trailer.
I like that.
It's facts. And
That's
it's
the way
kind of
you
like
wanna
a thing
be.
that's being said on the team now. It's like, yo, you got to come hot off the trailer, dude. Be ready to
Yeah.
go. Be ready to go.
Man, I bet your guys' gear bags are unlocked.
Well, yeah, I'm not.
Then I'm gonna throw everything in my gear bag
Dude.
and bring it to the field.
Alex got a zipper for everything.
I do. I
You probably
have
got a toothbrush in there,
system.
man. I don't know.
I do. As a matter of fact, I actually do. It's in my side pocket on the
You
other
ain't
side
got to
of the
tell me
pack
all the
pocket.
details.
Yeah,
Whatever.
yeah.
Look,
I'm not gonna be going for your toothbrush later, Alex.
I'm stealing the next event. I'm stealing it.
But the way I like organize my gear bag is so that right before I close it, I can, or say like we're at the event, I'm putting everything back together. It looks like how it looks when it's full. When I open it, I'm like, okay, everything's there. I shut it. If you just throw everything in there, you could have left your, Jesus, sandanas are super expensive. I mean, we know that. You left your $500 sandana from like back in '96 on the table in there. You didn't know because you just threw it all in there.
I haven't lost anything.
Oh my God.
I lose something every
Oh my
event.
God. Yes, you do.
I've lost like $100, $200 masks, builds. I've lost tanks, guns, whatever, you name it.
He tears up more. He breaks more gear than any player I know.
Yeah,
He
any
tears
gear that
everything
holds
up.
up to Christopher is gear to buy.
100%.
Yeah, I don't believe it's superstition. I can't. I remember one event, I left all my soft goods. I was a completely different teammate. I had some borrowed headband. I still balled out. That's what mattered.
And leaving all the soft goods is something.
Yeah.
It wasn't easy.
I mean, it takes talent. It takes talent. That does lead into one of my questions I do ask. Obviously, you don't have any superstitions, Chris. What about you other two? Do you guys have like a piece of gear you got to wear, or like a certain way you got to do something?
So I'm not even gonna lie. I had this gross one, and Kyle Bowen is the one that broke me from this. And I used to never wash my elbow pads. It was my thing. I'm not really superstitious anymore now. Not as bad.
A little stitious.
I'm a little superstitious, but not superstitious. But like back then, I didn't I didn't wash my elbow pads, so they smelled terrible. And I remember Christopher had a practice when he was playing with NRG Alpha, and I remember I was talking to somebody about it, and I was like, nah, I've never washed my elbow pads. Why would I do that? And this was like while I wasn't playing, so and he's like, dude, you need to wash them. Like, you could get staph infection, and that's like, you can lose an arm. And then like 2 years later, I got bit by a spider and like got staph infection in my arm, not from the elbow pad, but like from the spider. That is the worst thing ever. And I was like, I'm going home. I haven't even played. I'm washing my elbow pads.
Bleach
And
them.
I'm like, I'm going to get new ones. But yeah, Anthony, I don't know if you're superstitious.
I wouldn't say that I'm superstitious about like certain gear that I wear or anything like that. I do have a thing where like if I went on a headband, I hang the headband up. I don't wear it anymore.
Okay.
So that's the only thing. Like I'm the type that I want to be. So I have like all different types of masks and pants, jerseys, whatever. I want to be able to play comfortably in anything that somebody puts on me. Like if we got a sponsorship from X company, I want to be able to put their gear on and play just as good as I did otherwise, because I don't want to be comfortable in only one.
I have one little thing, but it has nothing to do with gear. I pray.
Okay.
No matter what. Usually before every match. Whenever I was on Wrecking Crew, there was a guy on there, great teammate, awesome dude, Splitty, Steven Reyes. I pray with him before every match.
That's awesome.
And it's part of it. Got to have that faith, man.
So that's serendipitous, because I call them my nephews. They aren't really my nephews, but they are playing with Filthy this year, and I think Splitty's helping them.
And what's crazy you say that is that I know George Oysterling.
George came
from
up too.
Wrecking Crew. I know Steve Doherty. I used to play with him. Splitty used to play with him. And George hit me up the other day because we've been talking back and forth about coaching and this and that. And he goes, what do you think about coming to Quick Shot and doing a scrimmage against Filthy? I was like, that would be wonderful. So now we got to just get the schedule right and, find out what the cost and everything is for us to make it, make sure that we can afford to go. And that's kind of like a weird small world moment.
Yeah. Because they're based out here, obviously. And they ended up connecting with them, and they played with them since Atlantic City last year.
Yeah, George, Splitty, and Steve, great people, great minds of the game, no doubt. I've had George coach me when I was playing on Wrecking Crew. I had Steve coach me and Splitty coach me on Wrecking Crew. I mean, it would be really good for us to have the opportunity to go against them to not only play and learn from the Filthy Crew guys, but also to pick the brains off of those 3 great players there too.
Yeah, that is. I haven't been to that facility, but I have heard it is top.
Quick Shot is nice. I like it.
The owner, who I think is also the owner of Filthy, he's a great guy. All right, so let's talk about next year's plan. So you're playing the NRPL.
Mm-hmm.
Where's that based out of?
It's out of
Severn,
Severn,
Maryland.
Maryland. Yeah, sorry.
So why did you guys pick that league?
So I'll let Anthony go with it, but mainly the reason I would say it fell into that was I live in Virginia Beach, and so I've had opportunities to not only play the NRPL, but coach them. And I've taught my brothers for years about how nice the field is. John Atkins, Nick Atkins, the Atkins family, they own and run that field, and it's nothing but surreal, top-notch facility. In my opinion, for the development of the team and the future of understanding the game and being able to see a nice facility and be in a good environment to grow, NRPL is where our next step would be. And the other one is it would be like MVPS, but that's just a little too far. So, but I'll let Anthony go into more detail of other things. But I'd feel like that kind of was the biggest segue into why we want to go to NRPL.
Yeah, so I mean, you pretty much hit the nail on the head. We were I'd say about halfway through this year, we were talking about like what do we need to do. So we were thinking about going national. We were thinking about doing the MVPS and NRPL, obviously. So we did all the numbers of NVPS and NRPL. I wouldn't say that they're the exact same amount of driving time, but they're, I mean, close enough, within an hour or two. And it was the price point for the event. I mean, $5 a case at MVPS, $5 more per case at MVPS. And then, but the main thing is that Christopher would now, instead of it being dead even for us, it's now further for him when we could just go to the NRPL. So then it's like higher chance of us having our coach at every single event.
And he's already driving, like he drives all the way down here to, to coach us. So, I mean, this, like playing at NRPL, the price point for NRPL is awesome too. Like you pay for like the
entry for the whole year.
Yeah, you pay the entry for the whole year, and it's the cost of one NXL. So when we were looking at everything, it's like it checks all the boxes. Chris is near here. The price is good. The price of paint's good. Like, and one of our guys is from up that area. He used to play there a long time ago, like here and there, and he said he liked it. Christopher said he loved it. That's enough for us. Plus, there's no sense in like traveling and playing national. I mean, you look at it like this, right? We go into, if we hadn't have played as good as we had to finish out this year, we wouldn't be going into D3. Mm-hmm. It actually was a good segue because we ended up playing D3 at Cup because one of our guys was 9 points too high. We finished Cup. We did really well at Cup for us to go up a division. And then his points dropped below. We were like, okay, well, we did great. So let's, we finished out the year great. I feel like we've learned enough and we're good enough that we could move up. Everybody picks up things really quick on this team, and they're really willing to do the work. That's a big thing. So we go up. You play NRPL. That's your best price point. Play there. If you don't, say you don't do what you expected, okay, you can play another year in D3. Or if you do well and you decide hey man, I'm not quite. I think we did great, but we move to say you did national D3. Or you do good and you play D2 in national. But that's pretty much it. Because local paintball in the Carolinas and D3 just don't, for some reason, it just doesn't work.
Yeah, that's always kind of killed me. And I know they've tried in the past and it just never connects for whatever reason.
There's like a weird, I don't know what it is around here. If it's the D3 year, any year that you travel, right? But it generally is the D3 year, right? Especially for this area because there's no D3 paintball. So that's normally the year that like completely chews a team apart. Like that's the end of it. So if you can make it through that year of travel, you can go however far. And like Christopher said earlier, like you're going to lose players. We're at a point now to where we're picking up some players from different areas. So we're not all like local, but our goal is to take those players all the way. Anybody that comes, playing with us, like comes to play with War, we're just continuing moving. Everything. Everybody's going to be able to be the best player they can because we got good staff, good coaching. We're willing to do the work. Like, we're doing things outside. We have a good, team base. Like, we just got to keep moving.
So you mentioned that you're picking up players. Are you guys doing tryouts or anything?
As a matter of fact, we have a tryout next weekend on the 19th. It'll be a Sunday. We're going to have it at Black Ops in Fayetteville. They did us a huge solid. We talked to them, earlier, was about a month or two ago. It was like, hey, look, we need a location. Like, I mean, we're homeless. So it's like, we're trying to figure it all out. So I'm like, hey, can we do it here? And they agreed on a decent price for us. So we're going to have it next weekend and we'll see how it all goes. I mean, we kind of have, well, another thing is, this year we decided we're going to go into another line. So this is something that I'm not quite, we're not sure how it's going to go yet, but I think it'll go well. Introducing a new line. So the tryout's based around that line. And then we have guys that are coming out that we're going to be looking at for D3 as well.
So the D4 line is going to be led by Bill Usry, one of the guys that we play for or have playing for us. And the biggest thing, I've always kind of been against it, and this is one of those debates that we've had in our own chat, was should we do a D3 and D4 line? And I've always been against doing a lower line simply because of a priority issue, right? And it's not a priority as in I don't think I would prioritize them. It's just a fact of the matter of I need to focus on my division, on my thing. And that's the thing with Alex and Anthony, is that they're already doing above the job, which is having to lead and organize a team, as well as try to learn and grow themselves. When you start adding another layer, you have more people you're responsible for and less time to think about you getting better and improving yourself. And I've always experienced it. It's tough when you're on the lower line of basically your subsidy of a higher level team. You're always going to get the shit in the stick. Keep it, as real as I could say it. And it's tough because what happens is the top line has players and you're like, oh, the D4 line's great. I'm going to bring him in. And then now it might mess up their whole mojo and their whole flow. But I also know that if you do it appropriately and give them their own identity, it's appropriate. They'll still be under War's blanket. But the thing we had a discussion with Bill, who's going to be running it, is if it formulates and trials work out good, they're going to play the AXL.
Okay.
And the goal is it gives both Anthony and Alex an opportunity to coach, which in my experience, going up, whenever I started playing D2 and they came back and I was able to coach, I've coached teams before, but not at a consistent level, I become a better player. So in my mind, if my brothers can go and learn how to coach, then that's amazing because not only are they going to enhance their ability and they translate to D3, they're also going to be able to help the D4 line and give them their own identity. So the other thing on top of that is try to get rid of the control. I put a hand gesture there because I think it's very important, where Anthony, Alex, and I aren't going to be so controlling of the D4 line. It's going to be on Bill. We're there to support, but it's his thing because he come to us and say, hey, I love this team. I love this organization. I understand that where I'm going with my career in paintball and travel and this and that, I may not be able to go to the next level, right? That's what he said. And I want to do this and I want to build this D4 line and then bring them up and have more time playing and get better. And so we feel that we owe it to him, considering he's been such an essential help and a supporter and a player on this team, that we should be there to support players that want to do stuff, especially for people that want to do it for the name that we're trying to build.
That was he brought that point up. We, like I said, we're all different. We have these conversations that are tough. And he brought that point up. We thought on it, had a long conversation, and that was our solution. It's like, hey, look, they're a separate entity. They have their own identity, but they're under War. Bill, super prepared guy. That guy, he has everything in his car. It doesn't matter what it is. You could lose your car. It's in his car. He's got a new one. And so he's super prepared. He's good for the job. He's going to do great. He gives us the opportunity. So it's like, that was our solution. It works. I think it's going to work great. I'm excited for it. And also it puts me and Anthony at more events as well. I mean, being able to just focus on, like this year, I was able to go help New York Wrecking Crew when Chris played with them in the pits. I really enjoyed it. I got to travel, see more paintball, understand the pit side and the coaching, like listening to Steve, Splitty, all those guys and how they ran things. And so bringing that now where it's like, all right, I know the pit side of it. This is how a semi-pro team runs it. Now I can bring it here. And me and Anthony could tag team that, you know, like it's like, hey, he's the coach. I'm the assistant coach. I'm the coach. He's the assistant coach. We're going to see what goes on there. So I'm excited for that.
Nice. Well, that's awesome. That's a different mentality than most. I'm glad to see that because, like you said, Chris, like a lot of it just ends up feeding the bigger team.
It's
or
tough.
The higher
It's tough,
divisional.
and it's not like we're not going to try to pull up internally, but the biggest thing is you have to do it in a very appropriate manner. I've had teams where it did not go that way, and it's like a secret, right? And there is time for that, and there's time where people don't need to know everything. But when it comes to, hey, we're looking at your guy, you should be a little more upfront about it, especially, I would say more internally is where that's a factor. Like, if I'm playing with a team and they start talking to me, it's tough to be like, they're looking at me. It just looks like you're gloating a little bit. But if you say, hey, we're going to bring in this kid, he's young, and we want him to develop and learn, he wants to be in the organization, put him on the D4 line, build him up. And that's kind of like his identity is like, we're looking at this kid to bring him up, right? And then there's going to be players on D4 line that they're going to have the same goals as us to go all the way. But then you run into that, okay, will this line be able to organize itself to want to have those same goals? And that's going to be on their own accord. You know, it's like, okay, Bill and his team, they want to go to semi-pro too. All right, we're going to do whatever we can to support it, but it's going to be on them. But we're going to be there just to help with any X's and O's and any capacity we can be at.
Man, boys, we are at an hour.
Oh yeah, we could talk.
Yeah, relatively easily. We'll kind of like wrap it up for tonight, but I'd love to one of the things I want to do is kind of follow some teams through their season. So I'd love to touch base later on with you guys for sure and just see how it's going. Good, bad, and ugly.
Awesome.
But the whole idea here is to give the divisional guys some exposure, and then hopefully like you guys can go to your sponsors if you got them or getting them and to say, look, we're on this thing, and just you're providing something for them, and then but your story's getting out there. I feel like especially in the Carolinas, there's a lot of really cool divisional stories that no one knows about just because they were divisional guys or they were semi-pro guys and the story never got to be told.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Building a backbone, that storyline, it helps a team gain traction, helps on a lot of things. I do appreciate what you're doing here. I'm really happy that you invited us on. We've been wanting to do this for a minute. So
Well,
yeah.
You were one of the first teams I reached out to. So
Okay, and we appreciate
it made life really easy for me when you guys started saying yes. I was like, all right, I'm on to something.
Yeah. Anthony, shout out the sponsors.
Well, we got to start with Ugly Paintball and Stance Paintball, Flow Paintball. We got Trade My Gun,
299.
K9,
Clean with Avid,
Clean with Avid.
Kinetic. Dude, JMS Engines.
Joey
JMS
Lennon.
Engines.
JMS
Joey
Lennon.
Lennon, dude.
Can't
Pops.
forget about that. That's the backbone right there.
Yeah, dude, that's the one. I mean, there's a lot, but it all comes together, I mean, really well.
They help
Really
us out a
well.
lot.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm a
Hey,
shout
those
out.
ugly jerseys look sick, by the way.
Hey, look, they produce that, like they're awesome. Like for real.
He kills
they
it
get
every
done.
time.
And Jacob from Stance, he made the design for it. Like he laid it all out, went into, well, I don't even remember what the illustrator killed that jersey. It looks great. He spent a lot of time on it. And then Ugly, they got the design in, finished the jerseys, had them in time for Cup. We're really bad about the last minute thing.
Well, no, this year it wasn't my fault. This year it wasn't our fault. I'm telling you.
But they turned out great. Everything's great.
Turned out awesome.
Kinetic. We picked Kinetic was one that we got this year. Cleveland Avenue was another one. Flo's been with us since D5.
Started.
Yeah, since we started. So,
Yeah.
as a matter of fact, I had to wear some of it
Selfish
today.
plug. Use code Lennon. My code
Yeah.
for 10% off.
Actually,
Absolutely.
it's all three of our code, Christopher. You know
If
that.
y'all want to hop in,
It's all of our code. It's
it
Lennon.
says our name.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's all of our code.
That's Joey's code.
Yeah.
We'll give it to Joey. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, hey, thanks again. I'm gonna stop the recording, and we just gotta hang out for a little bit.